I'm going for 10. You're going for 9.
There you go.
You guys have given an 8.5. There you go. We've got it back on the screen. I thought KINSKI was absolutely phenomenal. We've all been singing his praises over the past couple of weeks, and this was the best one of the lot. 2 of the best saves you'll see this season. The first half, clawed one out the net from Joe Rodon. Second one, fingertips onto the bar from Sean Longstaff. And not only that, just calm on the ball, able to ping it out to literally whoever he wants. I think he didn't do one thing wrong throughout the game yesterday, so that's why I had to give him a big fat 10.
Yeah, what a turnaround for him, man! Unbelievable. I'm so happy for him. I think I think anyone who's a football fan looking at his turnaround has got to be delighted for him. And I think for me, that second save against Longstaff has to be the save of the season. I think and at that time as well, you add the importance into it. That has to be the save of the season. It's probably one of the best saves I've ever seen from a Spurs goalkeeper in general. It was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, the way he tipped it onto the bar, and obviously he had the save in the first half. Yeah, he's just really turned it around, and he's staking a really strong claim now to be our number one. And De Zerbi reiterated that Vicario is still our number one keeper, but surely does he believe that with how KINSKI's playing? I don't see Vicario playing the last 2 games.
No, you can't take KINSKI out of the team right now. You just can't. He's playing too well. Particularly, the biggest question mark was his shot stopping, and he answered a lot of those critics yesterday. Next up is Pedro Porro. I gave him an 8. You gave him a 7. You guys gave him a 5.9. Pedro Porro. I think that's 6 now. Someone's just got in their vote, but I think 6 is a bit low for Pedro. I thought Pedro was phenomenal yesterday. I really did. I think defensively, I think he was absolutely on point. The amount of crucial interceptions and tackles he made, particularly in the second half, I think was fantastic. From an attacking perspective, he played that ball through to Richarlison, I believe, and Richarlison takes that heavy touch, got to be doing better. Yeah, fine, he could have done more from an offensive standpoint, but I thought defensively, and I thought the same against Villa, I think he's really standing up for the team right now. Yeah,
I thought he had a pretty good game. I don't think it was his best game, but what I really like about him is when he inverts and he goes through the centre of the pitch. I thought Leeds were finding it really hard to track him, and he was finding some really good spaces right through the middle. I think he supported Muani all right. I mean, offensively, he did. I think his set pieces, as usual, were decent. Although he had that one shot from a free kick, which was a bit of a crazy effort, but. Yeah, I thought we had a decent game. Nothing special, but I think he was one of our better players.
Next up is Kevin Danso. 7's all round. 5.7 from you guys for Kevin Danso. I thought aerially he was a beast. I thought he dealt with Calvert-Lewin most times than not. It was a really good physical battle between them, which we were anticipating before the game. And I think he came out on top more times than not. He saved us massively with that erratic Tel crossfield ball where he had to get something on it, otherwise a Leeds player was in, and he did. Look, you get your struggles with him on the ball, you know what you're getting with Kevin Danso, but I think he had a good game yesterday.
Yeah, I think definitely when we were panicking, he was one of the main players doing that for sure. He was just punting it forward, but I think defensively, as you say, anytime the long ball falls, you're just confident he was going to win it. And I think aerial duels, I think I read 7 of the 11 he won yesterday. Or 8 out of 12, so there you go. He competed for a lot. But only 1 out of 5 ground duels. I think that kind of tells the story a bit of him yesterday. But yeah, I think he was decent. I think Leeds kind of had periods where they were kind of looking to hurt us. But I thought Danso, especially when it came to clearances and stuff like that, he stood up pretty well.
Next up is
by the way, it's his 4th game in a row he's got a yellow.
4th game in a row, he's got a yellow.
Yeah, 8 yellows in 15 starts for him.
Wow. Mickey van der Ven, 7's all round from us, 6.5 or 6.4 from you guys now. I think Mickey, it was a quieter game for him than we've seen in the last couple of games, but still, I think he defended well. A couple of big moments from him at the back with some key tackles and interceptions. I thought he led the line pretty well.
Yeah, a couple of moments as well. He looked astride of midfield, and Leeds were definitely tracking that and stopping him. And a couple of times, they even robbed the ball of him. There was one moment where he thought he was fouled. He put his hand on the ball, and the referee gave a handball, and he was getting very frustrated with that. But I thought, by and large, he was pretty confident. I think he had a pretty decent game.
Destiny Udogie, 6s all round from us, 5.9 from you guys. Obviously, that moment in the first half, he is so lucky that the ref blew for offside or the VAR judged Calvert-Lewin to be a toenail offside, because if it wasn't, and it was so tight, he gives away a penalty, and we're harshing him a lot more harsh today. I just thought he was a bit quiet on the day, nowhere near as good as what he was at Aston Villa. Didn't really impact too much going forward. Yeah, I expected more from Udogie, to be honest.
Yeah, it didn't link with Tel as he usually does on that left-hand side. I think he wasn't really running beyond him as much. I think clearly he was he didn't want to play him 90 minutes. He took him off for Spence on 70, whereas I think last week he kept him on. So yeah, it wasn't his best performance, Destiny Udogie. I think wasn't really supporting the attack that much. I think defensively he was okay. Didn't have too much problem with him. He did a couple of times he played the ball down the line into trouble and nearly cost us. But I think by and large he was okay.
Next up is João Palhinha. 6s all round for João. Gets his standard yellow card in the game. It was a bit of a weird one, that yellow card. But yeah, you guys giving him a 6.1. And he just was nowhere near the levels of what he was at Villa Park, let's be honest. I don't think he got maybe the space. I mean, he was coming back into that right-back position and trying to build attacks from the back or build it forward from the back, and he just wasn't really able to do so like he was able to do that at Villa Park. But, you know, he was full of energy and industrious play and full of, you know, winning the ball back at times. But, yeah, it was nowhere near as much as an impact that he had at Villa Park.
Yeah, obviously he nearly should have maybe got a shot on target early in the game with that shot that went over the bar. I think definitely as well in the last 20 minutes, he kind of panicked but also stood up for the team off the ball at the same time. Like, there was a couple of moments actually he went a bit headless chicken and was like running, chasing shadows, and Leeds nearly took advantage of it. I don't think he was covering, maybe he wasn't as like industrious as he was against Aston Villa. Wasn't winning like every duel, but he did win a lot of duels still. I think on the ball against Aston Villa, he was a lot better than this game. I think on the ball, he wasn't that great, to be honest. Wasn't playing enough maybe adventurous passes, and definitely when the going got tough in that key moment, he did start to panic a bit. Was miscontrolling the ball, was passing it just erratically, and needed changes to kind of settle him down. I would have maybe looked at maybe changing him for Basuma, but he obviously took off Bentancur, so he didn't want to change another senior midfielder at that point. But yeah, I wonder if this game wasn't as suited to him as the Villa game.
If we're going to have that kind of game, that battle of the bridge game that you anticipate at Stamford Bridge, you need him in the team, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
But yeah, 7 out of 14 ground duels won, 3 out of 5 aerial duels won, and 3 out of 4 tackles won as well. So, I mean, he was still very important on the day, in my opinion, but just nowhere near the impact that he had at Villa Park. Next up is Rodrigo Bentancur, 7s all round from us, 6.4 from you. I thought he was our best player in the first half, you know, really controlling things where Spurs had the most control in the game. Bentancur had his best period in the game, so that's no surprise. Had that header, which maybe could have gone in the back of the net. I think, did the keeper save it, or did it go just over the bar?
Bentancur, it was, it nearly fell to Richarlison in the back post. He had a header and just flicked wide.
But yeah, I thought he was very good in the first half. In the second half, I thought he was just tiring as he got taken off. So maybe it's just the culmination of how many games he's played and just coming back from injury.
Yeah, he's played a lot of football, hasn't he? Probably more than he would have expected. But I thought in that first half, he was really helping us just keep the ball well, dominate. There was a couple of moments where he's got the ball, he's got players around him, and without even touching the ball, he seemed to just, his movement freed some space up just for himself, and he was able to get the ball forward. But as you say, we were definitely tiring, and he was one of the ones who tired the quickest, and he had to go off, unfortunately.
Next up is Randall Kolo Muani, 4s all round from us, 4.2 from you. I was getting so frustrated with Muani from the stands yesterday. It just felt like anything he was trying, nothing was coming off. And it wasn't for the want of trying, because I think he put in a big effort in the game yesterday, and he was always trying to take on his man, but he just never could. The reality was, and one moment where he did find some success when he found Richarlison, but obviously Richarlison fluffed his lines. But apart from that, I thought he was really poor throughout.
Yeah. The things that frustrate me with Muani, because I actually think when he keeps it simple, and like in terms of general play, I'm not talking about getting in behind or taking on his man. I'm talking about in general play, keeping the ball, being part of the team. I think when he keeps it simple, he can be quite effective, and he's actually not bad. But there are just some moments that really frustrate me. Like there was a moment yesterday, he picks up the ball, he's 2-on-1 with, he's got Porro to his right, he got 2-on-1 with the fullback, and instead of just turning and passing it to Porro into space, he tries a little flick. And he underhits the flick, and the fullback ends up intercepting it. It's like those kind of moments really frustrate me with Muani, and he seems to do that a bit too often, where there's a simple option or a good option. I understand you can't always pick the simple option when you're a winger. You've got to try things, but sometimes he just doesn't try them at the right times, and when sometimes the simple thing is what to do, and that's what really frustrates me. Coupled with the fact that when he never really beats his man or that often, or on this game he didn't, and didn't get behind that often. The only time he did actually was a consequence of him. He was closing down the Leeds defender and seemed to get a nick on the ball, and it just fell kindly to him. But again, his pass to Rishi wasn't that great, and probably made the chance harder than it should have been for Richarlison. So can't even give him that much credit for that. And never really threatened to do anything of note, to be honest. So yeah, I gave him a 4.
Next up is Conor Gallagher. You guys have given him a 5.6. We've given him a 5. Off the back of a stunning display at Villa Park, you really expected a lot from Conor going into this game. And I think you got what you're going to get always from Conor Gallagher, and that is, sheer work rate, leading the press, pressing well, and the industrious play of, interceptions and tackles and winning duels in the middle of the park. But I just felt like when it came to the final third, he let us down a little bit. There just wasn't much quality there.
Yeah, it was quite clunky, wasn't it? Just when he was on the ball, didn't really provide much quality. There was one moment in where he linked up with Maddison in the second half. I thought, okay, this is going to be it. And then he cut inside. He had an opportunity to shoot, just delayed, and ended up being crowded out. And that was a good opportunity to maybe, do something. A lot of his, I think, through balls, crosses, they weren't that great. There was a couple of times he had some opportunities to play it through to Muani, and he just either overhits it or underhits it and ends up not being good. So, on the ball, not so great. Off the ball, though, I thought it was pretty good again, to be honest.
Yeah. Next up, Mathys Tel. I've given him a 5. You've given him a 6. 5.9 from you guys out there. Obviously, he scores the goal, which is a moment of amazing quality to put it in from there. And as soon as it left his foot, you just knew that was rifling into the back of net. It was supreme quality. I felt like out of the front 3 or front 4, like if anyone was going to do something, it was going to come through Mathys. But there were just some moments in there that just boggled my mind, like that one in the first half where he just crossed it across the face of goal and nearly gave away a goal there. And obviously the penalty that he gave away as well. Just 2 complete brain-dead moments from Mathys Tel, which, has put us under massive pressure. So I don't think he had the worst game out of the front 3, but still, apart from that goal, I don't think he made too much of an impact of the game, and the quality was lacking a little bit.
Yeah, I thought he was obviously one of the only ones. I thought it was a weird one. In the beginning knockings of the game, he was getting the ball and wasn't being confident taking on his man. He kept just delaying, wasn't running at them and just passing it back to Udogie and wasn't being confident. But I thought as the game went on, he was starting to gain a bit more influence, and he started to take people on. He started to win a few free kicks. He was taking some decent corners as well. So I thought he was growing in influence, and then he got the goal, which was, by the way, unbelievable goal, sensational strike. The way he just touches it right in front of him with very little backlift to bend it into the far corner. It's quality, top quality. But as you said, we saw the best and the worst of Mathys Tel, and he must frustrate managers because he's got so much quality, but then as well, we can make some really bad decisions. He's young, he'll learn from it. I'm really hope he doesn't get too down and he focuses on the goal he scored rather than the penalty he gave away, because that's the kind of quality we're going to need from now to the end of the season. If we're going to stay in the division, we're going to need a few moments like that from him. One more would do, I think, between now and the end of the season. He's been threatening to pull off something like that. So it just goes to show the quality he's got in his boots. But it's such a shame he got undone by his own idiocy, really, with that overhead kick. How can you do an overhead kick in your own box and put that us under pressure? It's just so... Yeah, look, it's brainless. There's no other way to put it. But let's just hope he doesn't let it get to him, and because that goal was brilliant, and that's what he's got. Hopefully, he's got to focus on, because those are the moments he's going to be remembered for probably in his career, not the ones that he showed in our box.
And last but not least, of the starting level, Richarlison, you've given him a 5. I gave him a 4, 4.6 from you guys. Obviously, 2 key moments. Look, if we're going to win games, we need to rely heavily on these kind of moments. Mathys Tel was able to provide one. Richarlison should have provided one, but he didn't in the first half. Takes a heavy touch where he should be through on goal and should be able to score. Second half, just completely fluffed his lines. And if one of those goes in, you might be talking about a different game. I think he ran his socks off for the team. I think everyone can say that. I think he was hard to deal with in the air. I think he won a lot of aerial duels and was ready for the physical battle. It was just lacking in quality on the ball massively.
Yeah, didn't attack that well. I thought his work off the ball was sensational. The amount of times he's blocking passes from centre-backs and he's backing into them. He made the physical duel very difficult, I thought, for the lead centre-backs. I thought they had a pretty tough day, but as you say, unfortunately, when he got on the ball, just the quality just wasn't there. Even when there was a couple of times Maddison fed him and he was free on the left-hand side and asking him to do something, create something, shoot, just wasn't there. And obviously that big moment he had, fluffed it completely. He should be doing a lot better with that moment. But he's trying his best. He's doing everything he can. But unfortunately, sometimes, a lot of the time with him, unfortunately, the quality is not there. But I can't fault his effort.
Yeah. In terms of the substitutes, Maddison, good to see him back on the pitch. It's really good to see him back on the pitch. And we give him a 6. You guys giving him a 7. He just showed a lot more composure on the ball than anyone else. He showed like he was always an option, always wanted the ball, was demanding the ball at times. And he showed an ability to actually keep the ball as well, which was more to say than a lot of our other players on the pitch. So good to see him back. Hopefully see him more over the next coup games, and he could be pivotal in us staying up or going down. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see how much part to play is going to have between now and the end of the season. But it was fantastic, the reception he got. That was one of the highlights of the game. Obviously, seeing his name get called by De Zerbi and him taking his shirt off and him coming on the pitch and getting that reception. It was a great moment for him. And I did think he helped us. And look, he clearly wasn't at his best. He's not at his sharpest. And it took him a few minutes to get into the game, didn't it? But once he did, I thought he did well just to allow us to keep the ball, keep us composed. Couple of nice set pieces as well, which we nearly scored, which we nearly created something from. Nearly won a penalty. Just that ability to get on the ball and pass the ball forward and look at options. And it seemed like he was the only one who had time on the ball compared to other players. And there was even a time where I think he nicked the ball off Calvert-Lewin, didn't he? And got us back on the front foot. So it was a pretty decent cameo from him, and it was encouraging to see him back on the pitch. And yeah, let's hope he's got a part to play between now and the end of the season. Yeah. Next up is Lucas Bergvall. 5s from us, 5.5 from you. I mean, he did a lot of running, definitely. He was working hard for the team, but not real much quality in there from Lucas Bergvall. There was that one snapshot right at the end where, it could have been a worldie, but it was always going to be hard to pull something like that off. But yeah, it wasn't executed well, let's say. Just mishit the shot, didn't he? He kind of came on, was in the pivot, then he moved to the left-hand side when Maddison came on, so couple different positions. Didn't look completely comfortable, did he, in either one? Didn't make too much of an impact, I felt. Yeah. And last but not least, Jed Spence, 5 all round from us, 5.5 from you. Yeah, look, he tried to, get Spurs on the front foot and attacking a little bit, but there was not much in there from Jed Spence. Yeah, frustrating. There was one really frustrating moment where it seemed like everyone just left him alone on the left-hand side to run, and because they just knew he couldn't go on his left-hand side, and he just kept looking for opportunities to get on his right, and he couldn't do it. I think he ended up winning a corner, but there was a good opportunity for him, and that is really frustrating. I think we did lose a bit of balance, Spence and Bergvall on that side. Didn't quite work. I think we were looking a bit better from the other side when that happened. Mm. And Roberto De Zerbi, I'll give him a 6, because I don't think it was as good as, nowhere near as good as the plays that we saw at Villa Park. Wasn't as good as what we saw against Brighton either. But I don't think it was a bad performance by any stretch of the imagination. And I think, a draw was probably the fair result on the reflection of the game. But the reality is he's managing with both hands tied behind his back right now. Limited options.
at the start of the game, we looked to the bench, we're like, is there anyone that can really come on and make an impact apart from James Maddison that has been out injured for a year through an ACL, who hasn't played a minute? So I do feel for him from that aspect, and I think he's doing the best that he can. But even so, I still think he left it a bit too late to make changes. You could see that we needed changes earlier on. You mentioned before about maybe it should have been Basuma instead of Bergvall. I do agree with that, to give us a bit more control in the middle. And obviously he went for Bergvall, which didn't really pan out too well. So, yeah, I'll give him a 6.
Agree. Also, he did leave it quite late to bring on subs, but then again, I understand, like, it's we are limited with our options at the moment.
It was 81 minutes, but the players did actually have an extra 13 minutes at the end of it as well.
It's true, but still, it's quite, the 81 minutes to make your first sub is quite a long time, isn't it? So I understand that we don't have too many options. Yeah, I'll give him a 6 as well. I think we played all right. Like, I think against a good Leeds team and good form, you got to remember, it would have been very impressive to get that win. So, you know, we couldn't quite go over the line. I thought for the first hour we were probably a better team before we started to lose our way, probably started to tire, especially started to panic when we conceded. Made a few changes, and then I think the game ebbed and flowed. They were on top, then we were on top, but we did definitely lose control of the game after that goal. I definitely think in hindsight, Basuma should have come on. I think at that point he's thinking, okay, we'll get Bergvall on because we're going for a winner, get someone a bit more offensive, but I think Palhinha lost his way a bit, and he needed maybe a partner next to him who's going to control the game a bit more. And then that also had consequences of later subs, because it meant Bergvall going to left and Gallagher dropping into the pivot. Whereas if we just had Basuma and Palhinha, I think that would have been a bit better. Even for Maddison to have those two behind him would have been better, in my opinion. So subs didn't quite come off. Could he have brought Sousa on instead of Spence, potentially? Could that have been a better offensive sub?
I thought he should have brought on Spence for Muani, you know, with about 20 minutes to go. I think
if Udogie couldn't finish the game,
yeah, then you can bring on Sousa a bit later on in the game.
That's what I'm saying. Could he have, if he took off Udogie and put Spence on, could it have been Sousa, or does he not trust him whatsoever? Because I think him would have been a bit of a better sub than to go for a win than Spence. So I think the subs didn't look. Well, they weren't terrible. I wouldn't say like they completely killed us, but like it weren't the best, I think, in hindsight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyway, that is our player ratings from the 1-1 draw against Leeds. Big games to come. Spurs go to Stamford Bridge next, and then finish off at home against Everton, and they're going to be pivotal games